it going.
Okay, I'm using gray paper, gray tone paper, so that my whites. So I'm gonna be doing this in black and white, so this will help my whites and my blacks show up better. I suggest you try it. It's better than white paper if you ask me. Yeah, so you just use the pictures. We got some pictures. And I pretty much just sketch it. Just get the outline of everything. Like get where everything, about what size everything's gonna be. Just don't be scared to, just kind of sketch it out of there. What you want to do when you're doing caricatures, you want to remember the main points are the ears, the eyes, the nose. Like the main points, and you just want to exaggerate them. But my character style, I don't like to exaggerate that much. Well, I do, but I'm not gonna do it in this segment. I'm gonna do another video. This is like soft character features. Sometimes just start off. I like to start off with the outline of the face, because the outline of the face helps you get the inside of the face together. And, start the eyebrows. Pocky had big eyebrows. They thick and they're like heavy on his face, so it's like kind of a character. His nose kind of long, comes to a point. He got them little bitty ears, so you make his ears, a little extra smaller. Because that's what you do when you're trying to do the character. He got on his mouth. I'm gonna try to do something different. I'm gonna try to do his mouth like that, but it's not gonna end up that way. So I'm gonna end up doing something else with it, and I'll show you what I do. Sometimes when you mess up, you just gotta use your mistakes. That's what I do. I just use my mistakes. It help me come up with something better, or help me come up with something that can cover up my mistake instead of getting frustrated over it and spending a whole bunch of time on it. So, draw the main shadows and lines that you see. Just kind of put a line, about where it is. And even though it don't look right, whatever you draw, most likely won't look right at first. Sometimes, not all the time, but you just keep messing with it. Just keep, penciling in, erasing it and going back and fixing the line. Because like I said, your mistakes, they help you see what you need to do. So don't be scared to make a mistake, because your mistake is going to help you. You know what I'm saying? When you're trying to make a straight line, the best way to make a straight line is to make a crooked line first. That's how you make, a straight line. And his eyes, they, big eyes, pocket big eyes. I'm gonna give him a nose ring. He don't have a nose ring in the movie, but I'm gonna give him a nose ring just because. Just kind of, even if you have to kind of pencil in the shadows a little bit, just do that, just to help you figure out where you want to place everything on your, on what you're drawing. And he got those long, pretty eyelashes, so make them extra long and stand out, in the character. But this is soft character, so it's not very strong. So, soft character, that'll really help you draw better. And then you go deeper and make the really, really exaggerated faces, but we're not going to do that here. I'll redo Juice another time. After I get a little more type, then that's what I like to do. I like to draw stuff and then draw it again like months later, and just to see my progress. And that'll make you want to draw more. Little neck, and add his hoodie in. And if you come to a point that you messing up on or whatever, like, just come back to it. Just draw the rest of it. When you draw the rest of something, it helps you fill out the other things. A little thick mustache. Supposed to be biting his lip, but like I said, everything. Teeth are hard. They can be, if you have practice. like anything else can be. And then when you're drawing, it don't spend too much time. Go to the next thing. And after you pencil it in, don't be scared to use that black. Like, don't be scared to do heavy shading. Not while you sketching, but when you get comfortable, like, yeah, that's gonna be there. Then you make your shading a little more dark, a little more bold. But don't be scared of that black. That black is what's gonna make everything pop. So you gotta stop drawing in pencil, okay? Just sketch in pencil. But don't do your whole drawing in pencil. You need to use, still. He got, a shorter box, fat face, little ears. He has chinky eyes. The corners of his eyes. Add the white, and that makes his eye look, like they're big and shiny, like they are. Just draw the lines you see. He got a strong jaw, strong cheekbones. Coming down to a little face. Like I said, even if you looking at your drawing and you like, I need to scratch this off. This is done. I need to do this over. Don't. Just edit what you already have. Fix what you already have. Don't doubt yourself so early. Technically, it's not a mistake yet because this is just a draft. And also, when you move on to the next character, like when you draw people around each other, the differences in them will help your character look more like your character. It's like an orange and an apple standing next to each other, or sitting next to each other. You're like, oh yeah, they both round or whatever, but yeah, it's a lot of differences. It'll be more like an apple and a cucumber. And there's always gonna be a piece of a drawing that you just stuck on, like, I can't get that right. Just come back to it, I promise. Come back to it. That's what they made erasers for. That's what they made, white out for, white paint markers. If it come down to that point, just white it out, draw it over. But work with it. Work with it and see if you can get it right. Work with your mistakes. Have his stripes on, his turtleneck. Just draw it as you see it, and then adjust what you draw. Draw what you see and then adjust what you draw. Don't crumble it up, throw it away. Don't doubt yourself so early. Like, work with it. He got them big old juicy lips. You gotta draw expressions on him too. He wanna look kind of sad, like kind of blank, kind of like he doesn't want anybody to know he's scared. A lot of people don't know because you barely see it except in a few shots in the movie. But the back of Steele's hair, he had his name in the back. All of them had their juice haircut, but he was the only one that had his name. It was in the back of his head. But I'm gonna put it on his side so you can see it. I'm gonna draw, a gun in Pac's hand. Like kind of like he's holding Steele hostage a little bit. Kind of on his case, putting that fear in his heart. But even the shadows, like draw a line for your shadows. Anything. It reminds you that something's there or something needs to be there. Now he got really deep eyes, like he doesn't a lot of the white doesn't show, so make his eyes, very big and black. I'm using pictures. I printed off the computer. I just Microsoft Word, put them together. Put them all together on one sheet and just printed it out. And, go from white, gray, and black. You know, the top is gray to show like kind of a shadow, you know, like the light on top. It adds texture. Makes it look more like, you know, the fro. You got a fro. And it helps when you go in and add, you know, like what's definitely black, you know, the inside of his nostrils, underneath his neck is black, you know, inside of his ear is definitely black, his hair is definitely black. 'Cause it helps bring out the rest of the picture and shows you what you need to hit next. You know, the little white dots in the eyes, you know, for reflection and, you know, like a wet texture. And put some space, you know, in between things. You know, forehead shadows. They have a wrinkled forehead. He has like a heavy eyebrow too, you know, in between the area between his nose and his eyebrow, the bridge of his nose. You know, it's like, you know, kind of heavy and chunky right there. And it makes his little nose look fatter. We're going to put a bucket hat on Omar. I mean, you know, Omar Epps or Q, whichever one. Just kind of sketch it in, fill everything out. It doesn't have to be perfect while you sketching it in because you're going to go back and adjust. But just put something down on the paper. Then you go back and fix it. You know, Omar, he got really big eyes, wide eyes, you know, little nose. He has, you know, cheekbones and, you know, like to me, you know, you know, Q is cute. You know, Q is cute as a button, but he kind of reminds me of a skeleton, you know, because his eyes are so big and black. And then he has those really strong, in this movie he was really skinny. His cheekbones really showed up good. So he kind of looks like a little skeleton. And like I said, when you're drawing your characters next to each other, you'll see how much, you know, they'll look more and more like each other when you draw, you know, things that don't look like them around them. To just use what you see from your picture, like the first things you see about that person, just draw it. And also, it helps keep the fun in it when you just kind of move on. Just kind of ignore things that look messed up. Just kind of move on. Draw something you like, because once you draw something you like on the picture, it'll make you want to go back and fix what you want to fix more. Because you already drew something tight on this side, now you want to go back and add it. That kind of that confused look on his face, so that, you know, like he wants to, you know, kind of question Pac over it, like, huh? And we will get better and better with expressions. I'll do expressions in another video. And it's really dark underneath his eyes. You know, in the corners of his eyes, underneath his eyebrow. It helps bring out the eye even more. And make some parts, you know, just add like a little more darkness in certain spots than the others. It really just kind of makes everything stand out. You know, add his shininess on him, his highlights and his, you know, skin shininess. And usually as you draw, the rest of it starts to become better than the part you first started out on, which is normal. It's like a warm-up. Like, the first thing you did was probably like a warm-up. You know, Omar looks a little more polished than Pac because it's less scribble scrabble on his face than Pac. On Pac, you know, I was really sketching him in. But Omar, I pretty much had him down. So I didn't have to do a lot of fix my mistakes with him. And you see on the hat where I just added highlights, you know, on, you know, and that adds, you know, it adds a little, you know, funky texture to the hat that those type of bucket hats have. Just put highlights on certain parts. They'll make, you know, the hat stand out like it's supposed to. gonna go ahead and do Raheem. And just keep looking at the picture you have and just keep finding little details like, his eyebrows are a little bit bigger than that, or his eyes, they come down more in the corners than what I have, or his nose is a little longer, or his chin is a little longer and stronger, His forehead is a little bit pointy. Just find all those little, the more details, the better. Just stare at every little detail. And that's why I have a few pictures. Because the more pictures you have, you look at them from certain angles, you'll see certain facial, traits that you can only see from one angle. So you look at different pictures and you find different traits. Or maybe, add a highlight here, add a shadow here, add some undertones here. Or make, if you got black on there, like, oh, that black right there should be a little more black. Or this white should be a little more brighter. Or you might even say, his eyebrows are bushy, but they're not bushy like that. They're bushy like, they come up and then come down bushy. Not just straight bush. The more you adjust it, the more comfortable you'll be with, like, okay, yeah, it's coming along, and you won't be so frustrated with yourself. Okay, we're going to start on Raheem. We're going to do a side shot. He's going to be the only one that's completely to the side. We're going to draw him as an angel. He got shot in the movie. So, he has, like, he's kind of like the pretty boy of the group. So I'm going to try to draw him, kind of cute. All of them is cute, though. Shoot. Even still, it's a little butt. He has like a, I think his real name is Khalil Kane, or Kane Khalil, something like that, I'm sorry. His eyes are really heavy. Raheem in the movie. Not his eyes, but his eyes are kind of big and, big brown eyes. But his, like eyebrows or, like forehead meat, whatever it's called, is heavy. And he had the curly box, like everybody else's box, kind of, regular and, a little part in it. His box, he might have put the Duke in his, but his probably is, all natural curls. But we're going to make his hair, texture a little more wet. A wet texture. And he had like a, like a funny little hairline. Nose kind of pointy. Like he's mixed. He got like a mixed nose. Adam's apple, real strong. Like a little sharp chin line. Fade going to the back. Long eyelashes too. We're going to draw him kind of like smirking. Teeth kind of out a little bit. Like he's smirking, like yeah, Yeah, just draw any line that you see on the picture. Pretty white teeth. Every little detail, like the size of the eyebrows, the size of the eye, what direction the eye is kind of leaning in, if it's going off to the side, if it's more in the middle of his face, is his nose, short and stocky, or is it like long? Do his ears stick out, or they kind of pin to the side of his head? Is his top lip bigger than his bottom lip? Pac's top lip is kind of bigger than the bottom, but they're both big, but top lip is like, I don't know, like big and juicy. And then, we're going to draw him with no shirt on. I'm going to draw a bullet wound on his chest, and I just want it to be seen, so. He's the only one, well, no, he's not the only one who took his shirt off in the movie, but he was like, he wasn't even the first. We're just going to draw him with his shirt off. How about that? I want to be able to see his bullet wound anyway. said, even if it's not looking like him right away, just keep going. Just keep going back and detailing. If it's not looking like him right away, keep looking at the picture or keep looking at the subject and just find more and more details. Look at the person and look at your paper. Look at the person, look at your paper. And just find little small differences. The more little small differences and little small details you add, the more it look more like that person. It's pretty simple. But the key is in the little details and the highlights and, the shadows and, I'm going to draw some angel wings on them. Wings are kind of like loose, long and loose. They're kind of like his wings are like protecting him a little bit. They're going to kind of fall on his body, just a little bit, not too much because they are behind him. But, just kind of fall on his skin a little bit, like, kind of brush across his skin. And use Google because, Google Images, yeah, big help for artists. Instead of, going to the library and finding, a book of flowers or a book of angel wings or a book of, whatever. Just Google it. Just look and just pay attention. You never want to copy exactly what you see, another artist do, but just pay attention to the little details they add, Pay attention, see if you can find the details that you need to make whatever you're drawing, make it look like it. Okay, to make angel wings look more like, angel wings. They're white on the inside, but, they have a lot of dark accents on the inside. So it adds depth, like the feathers are kind of coming out of the wing like it's supposed to. It's just a good reference to have, Google Images. It's 2015, that is a big advantage. Draw blue on, kind of deep, blood trickling down. Just look at it trickle. Look at something trickle. You always want to draw things that make sense. If you're drawing at a certain angle, then you need to make sure that, everything is accustomed to that angle. Certain size, certain style, everything. And don't be scared to use that eraser. You see how I did that? Added some black and added some gray and some white. And now, it looks shiny now. The halo. Yeah, like a few squiggly lines to add curls. Little lines at the bottom, like describes his roots, the hair is a little thicker at the bottom than the top and a little more loose at the top. Then you get down to the fade, add your gray at the fade. His fade wasn't really deep in the movie. He just kind of had a little haircut and a little taper. So his fade won't be as fresh as the rest of them. Just keep doing the same steps. His muscles. Add it from that angle. When they're closer up, when things are closer up at an angle, they're bigger. When they're farther away, they get smaller. They get smaller and sharper, like going to a point. It's kind of like his wings are like flapping back and forth a little bit. Like I say, add those black spots like in between the feathers and underneath the wings, and when you're drawing the feathers, make little squiggly lines, instead of straight lines, like make little squiggly lines, so, it makes the feather look textured and more rigid and more, loose and fluffy, like a feather should look. He has a lot of skin, so we're going to do a lot of gray shading, for the skin. The skin is going to look differently than the clothes. Skin is mostly gray shading. A little black, under the arms, underneath the breast, under the neck, collarbone a little bit. Not a lot, though. Adding more texture to the feathers helps. Now we add in Raheem's highlights. We have a little more highlights because he got a little more skin. He's brighter than the rest of them, so he's going to be a little more white than the rest of them. A little shinier. Just add white in like certain spots, and you'll just see how your picture will start to really pop. You'll be like, dang, I might not have to touch as much as I thought I had to touch. Just pretend like a piece of light is on him from a certain angle, whatever part would stick up the most. And on the gun, draw the gun, Smith & Wesson. And that's like mostly metal, so it's mostly going to be, like gray and white. Not metal, excuse me, steel. I have a gun on me, so, Google images. Look up, what a gun looks like. And every little detail of the gun helps. Every little shadow, every little shiny piece of steel. Draw it, and I'm drawing his hand, holding it. Just kind of get what you need from your picture, and then just kind of go in and finish it yourself. That way you add your touch to it. Google Images is just, supposed to be a reference, not something you copy off of completely. Just a reference, like a study sheet. Practice your hands. Always practice hands. You gotta draw the arm like underneath his neck a little bit, like he's choking him. And he had on like a jean jacket, a button-up jean jacket. Still had on he had on overalls and a striped shirt. Omar, he already has a striped shirt on, so you want to make, especially since they're right beside each other, you want to make their stripes look different from each other. So just do them a little different, and, it'll make the character stand out by itself like it should. I'm using a really thick line on the clothes so that, because when you're putting, a thick line looks a lot thicker when it's next to a skinny line. So you put a thick line on the clothes, it'll make it stand out more from his skin, the lines on his skin. It'll make that skin look more thin and the clothes look more thick and heavy. Underneath his buttons, shadows underneath the collar, around his neck. Make it a little more dark. Draw the things that's obviously black on the gun, the inside of the barrel, the inside of the, chamber. From here, it looks like he's almost out of bullets, if he has any bullets in there. It's probably out of bullets. He shot everybody in that movie. Go in and use that eraser, erase all those stray gray marks, all your pencil marks. After you put your black in, and you get all the shading that you want, go in and erase all your pencil marks. But if you're just using mark, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But I was using charcoal too, so, you got to kind of watch your charcoal. Make sure you don't erase your charcoal. And sometimes if you want to lighten up your charcoal, you erase it a little bit and it turns from black to light gray. And I used 2 different kinds of white pencils. I use a Prismacolor white pencil on Steel and Pac, and I use like a charcoal white pencil on Raheem and Q. So, and I like the charcoal white pencil better. You can draw on top of it, but you can't really draw on top of the Prismacolor white. It's kind of sticky, like it doesn't blend, and you can't even really draw on top of it. And when you're doing all black like that, it helps contrast everything. See, it just made his face look more gray and more skin-like just by adding that black shirt. And it made his hair look more fluffier, and just by adding something solid black. It keeps a balance and everything. Red around the teeth, like he's, mouthful of blood, a few cuts on his lip. Have it kind of dripping down. You can't have it like dripping directly down in one straight line. Like it has to go around the lip and then it has to kind of go in a different direction underneath the mouth. That way, it looks like the lip is on top of, We're gonna do his blacks and his stripes in black. Rounded stripes on his shoulders. Straight stripes across his chest. And that white on the wing, it makes all the rest of the white pop. When you got something solid white, it also makes the other, like the rest of your white on your page, it makes it look like more like a faded white. And it makes your solid white look more bright and more, shiny almost. That's why you make some things blacker and like some things black and then some a deep black, and then you make some things white and then you make it really bright white. Like it's just so many different tones, you add and it all comes together. A little darkness behind the knuckles, like show his veins a little bit of shadow and the highlights of his hand. Like I said, just keep going until everything looks right. And if something's frustrating you, just come back to it. Jean jackets is just kind of everywhere, so I just kind of threw, black patches everywhere with some straight lines and, just to add that, like, dirty jean look. And a few, lines, clothing lines. You make the really shiny parts of the gun extra white so it stands out. And you want to go back in, make things more black and make things more white. Just certain little points. I messed up on the mouth, so add blood in the mouth, I noticed that his cheekbone isn't so high, it's down a little lower. It's almost like it's wider. And this forehead, instead of doing like single see, I just noticed his nose needs to be like a little longer and slimmer. Strands, you want to kind of group some of the eyelashes together. Because, our eyelashes normally aren't, pink on the inside to show the meat and kind of the highlights. A little bit of black behind it just to show, some depth.